Hello, welcome to the Mike Weatherford Show. I'm Mike Weatherford.
And I'm Billy Busey.
Welcome, everybody. Billy, how you been, brother?
I've been hanging in there like a hubcap.
Like a hubcap. We ain't a hair and a biscuit. We ain't a hair tonight. Man, you know what September means, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
It means we're getting close to hunting season.
Mm-hmm.
And, man, we got a lot of people coming on this show here the next 3 weeks. It's going to be talking about our hunting going on around here. Tonight, guess who we got?
I don't know.
Man, we've got some good ones in here tonight. Going to answer some questions you and I have been talking about amongst ourselves. We've got a Henry County game warden, Steve Brewer, and we've got the CWD biologist, Jeremy Dennison. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you for having us.
That's right, man. How's everybody doing, man?
Above ground and vertical.
That's good. You been out doing any harassing on people today, or are you?
Well, I don't harass most of the time. Just
is that not a matter of opinion?
well, it is a matter of opinion. It is. My standard answer is fighting crime, cheating, death.
There you go, brother. What about you, Mr. Dennis? Can I call you Jeremy?
You can. I'd rather you call me Jeremy.
I'll call you Jeremy. What exactly do you do?
Well, I'm a biologist. I've pretty much 99% of my job deals with chronic wasting disease in the state, and so that pretty much takes up my time. I'm getting ready for deer season, and we're trying to get things in place, and we'll be ready to rock here in a couple of weeks.
That's right. We had a little case of that show up around here, didn't we?
Yes, sir.
Well, y'all tell me, what's it like to be a game warden in a small town when you know everybody? Everybody knows who you are. So let me tell you a little history about you, Steve. I know your sister, Miss Mary Burns, and I've left some garments over at her house. Have you heard about that story?
I've heard the story about something maybe with some steel or some stainless steel snaps.
It had that some
and maybe made out of leather.
I left them over there, and I think she found them. But
I can't talk bad about her though, because she knows where I live. So.
She is a doll. She's one of my best friends. I think a lot of her.
Yep.
She's a good person.
Yep.
You know Miss Mary Burns, don't you?
Yes, I sure do. Or I know of her.
Now, tell me what it's like being a game warden where you know everybody.
Well, this is home. I was born and raised here in Henry County. All my family's from here.
You had an uncle that was, or brother or uncle that was mechanic. Which one?
My brother, my dad was a mechanic.
Right.
He owned a garage here right there across from the fire station.
That's
Brewer's
right.
Radiator for years. So born and raised, graduated from the high school up here. And it's kind of like my brother asked me. He told me when I first moved back up here, he was glad I was here because now he could break the law. And I just told him, I said, well, I know where you live. And to be honest, the absolute first ticket that I ever wrote as the Henry County Wildlife Officer was to one of my best friends that I grew up with and run around with.
So we don't get, just because you and I are friends, I don't get out of jail free card or none of that.
And I've always asked folks. I've always asked my friends to don't put me in that situation.
There you go. So, well, I feel privileged to have you on my show tonight because I respect y'all. I respect all officers. It don't matter what they are. I respect them, and I respect what you do because you police one of my passions, which is hunting and fishing. And without people like you doing your job, there wouldn't be no passion. Wouldn't be nothing to hunt because you know how people are.
I know exactly how people are.
And you and I talked a little bit before we come on the show that probably every one of us hunters and fishermen break the law not knowing it. And I'm sure it takes a lot as a game warden, or what do you consider yourself to be?
Yeah, game warden, wildlife officer.
Wildlife officer, like you said, they don't even know what the hell that is.
I don't know.
Game warden, what we got.
Yeah.
But there's probably a way to do it and do it professionally, but still educate us dumb old country boys that didn't know that wasn't really legal. So
I had an old officer tell me one time before I started. When I first started, he said you can do two things when you find somebody doing something wrong. You can give them a butt chewing, or you can write them a ticket, but you don't do both.
That's right.
So I have lived, and for 28 years I've been doing this job. That's how I've done it. And if I think you deserve a ticket, I'm going to write you a ticket. If I think you need a little education, I'm going to educate you.
Right.
And I'm not going to write you. And the way I look at it, you've got guys that when they walk out the front door, their full intention is to break the law. Mm-hmm. Okay. You've got guys that they just mess up. And we all do that.
Good things happen to bad people.
And you've got guys that when the opportunity presents itself, they take that opportunity to mess up. They're kind of in the middle. The guy that just messes up, brother, call me.
Yeah.
We'll work it out.
Right.
The guy that takes the opportunity, we may have to have a little discussion. The guy that I'm looking for
Yeah.
is the guy that walks out the door
With intentions.
with the intention of breaking the law.
There
That's
you
the
go.
one I like to catch.
Well, we need officers with that attitude. You know, like I said, I probably break the law going to my deer stand sometimes. You know, I don't know. I know the law says I got to wear my red. I got my red on, but I don't know. I'm going to ask you, can I take it off when I'm in my box stand?
As you as a landowner,
Yes.
if you are on your own property,
Yeah.
then you don't actually have to wear it.
Really? What about
Yes.
leased property?
At least property you do, unless your name is on that deed.
Got you.
Okay, and no, you can't. You know, if I'm up in my deer stand, I cannot take it off.
Really? But I can't on my own property.
You can't
I
on
didn't
your
know
own.
that, Billy. Did you?
Yeah, I did.
You're on your own property, and I don't advise it. You know, I tell people all the time. There's lots of times you don't know who's on your property.
You're right, but I'm in a box stand. If they shoot that stand, you know, red or not, you know.
Right, but yeah,
But I wasn't aware of that because I own my own land, which you're aware of.
Yep.
I think you caught some poachers on my
Yep,
place before.
sure did.
And I've got lease land, so
Yeah. So
when
when
I
you're
did-
on your property, that
Right.
your name is on the deed, then you're not required to wear the 500 square inches of orange.
That's good.
But on the lease property, since your name's not on the deed, you would have to wear it.
Well, that's
Keep
good.
it on.
That's
So-
good. That's good. Well, Jeremy, I'm going to include you. What do you? What? Tell me a little bit about yourself. What in the hell does a biologist do?
Well, I get accused of being a game warden quite a bit. You know,
Do you pack a gun?
I do not for the commission of any kind of law enforcement, but I got a lot of respect for these guys. They do a very important
man.
job and they do it well. Myself, I was always more interested, you know, coming up, you know, thinking about a career in wildlife, more of the biology or the wildlife management aspect of it. You know, dealing with the populations and
The
such.
science of it.
The science of it. So yeah, I've had a couple of different jobs in the agency. Been with them since 2011, I think it is.
You ain't got to look at him. You talk to me. He don't care what you say.
And you know, my first job dealt with wildlife diversity. You know, dealing with the critters that most people are not aware that it even exist or they're scared of
Bigfoot?
them. Not quite that.
Mountain lions?
Not quite that.
Do we have Bigfoot?
I may have to defer to Steve on that one.
Steve, do we have Bigfoot?
We had an officer in Hickman County many years ago that everybody called Bigfoot, but not that I know of as Sasquatch.
Because the producer of the show, Kevin, does another show about Bigfoot. So he says there is a Bigfoot. Have you ever seen one?
I've never seen one personally.
I've
Seen
actually-
any prints?
Yeah. Remember I warned y'all about these rabbit holes. We're in one. If you want to know where we're at, we're in a rabbit hole. Keep going. I like it.
I've never personally seen one or
Have
one.
you seen any evidence? Do you believe there are such an animal?
Not to my knowledge. I don't.
What do you think, sir?
Well, there's been many times when I'm out working at night that I've actually got out with a stick and done some tree knocking to see if they'd answer me back, and I've never had anyone answer me. So I'm going to have to defer to the side of saying no, I don't believe in them. So.
I spent a lot of time in the woods at night. Also, with my original job, we used to go out there and survey for bats. And of course, you do that in the swamps and in the creeks in the middle of the night. And you know, maybe seen some spooky things or you know heard some weird noises, but nothing that I could attribute
like
to
an old screech
to
owl
Bigfoot.
to make a man mess in his britches.
Yep.
That's
right.
Billy, you ever heard one of them things? Oh, my dad used to coon hunt, and I'll tell you what, it seemed like all they wanted to do was go out in the woods, build a fire, and sit there, and send me to get the damn dogs. That was my job.
Listen to the dogs.
Listen to the dogs.
But I did that job, and then I've always interested in big game management. So I had I don't know if I say a dream, but I was always interested in the big game biologist position with the state. And I was lucky enough to promote to that job in 2018. And soon thereafter, we became a CWD positive state. So that part of the job is kind of taken over my day to day. So
Do you hunt?
I do.
You a deer hunter?
I love to deer hunt.
You deer hunt?
I watch them. I couldn't tell you the last time I shot one because I've got two kids and I let them do all the
I
shooting.
understand, but you like to go deer hunting with
I
them.
do. I love to go deer hunting.
You know, that's good. When you find a mechanic that likes to work on cars, when you find a hunter like Billy that likes to, he films hunts. As a matter of fact, we're fixing to do a hunting show. We're going to start a hunting
Yeah,
show.
look out.
And Billy's going to be one of the camera guys. I'll announce all that later. But it makes me feel good when I've got the game warden, the biologist. I feel like I'm getting my money's worth because you like the passion that I have is deer hunting, and you like the same passion I do. And when you're in a position to help our hunting, I believe we're getting a bang for our buck, man. I really do. You brought it up, chronic waste disease.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to ask you something here. Is it not an abnormal protein called a prion?
Yes.
That is thought to lead to brain and neurological damage that develops in Proon's disease.
Yep.
Where did that come from?
So the first documented case of CWD, it was described in Colorado in
Late 60s.
In the late 60s.
In a research laboratory.
Yes. And actually, prior to that, the CWD is in a family of diseases that are all caused. The thing that makes them similar is they're all caused by that prion, that misfolded protein.
Right.
The oldest disease of that group is actually called scrapie, and that was discussed. They didn't have the technology to really describe it, but the disease itself, the syndrome, was described as far back as the 1700s. So that's the oldest prion disease. The one that most people are more familiar with is BSE or mad cow disease.
Right. That's the same disease family.
Yeah, it's the same family.
Bangs, I believe bangs and cattle are the same thing. I think it's all
most people are more familiar with if you're around in the 80s, you remember the outbreak with BSE in England and how that kind of progressed, and so
I know you heard the rumors that it started in a research facility in Colorado in the late 60s. Do you think it's a man-made disease?
I don't personally, because there's you
heard that
the same kind. Yeah, I mean, you hear that, but that's one of those things that you hear on social media and you don't really know.
That's right. That's what we're here for.
That's right.
Half truths and rumors.
That's right.
The reason why I asked that question is I have a friend that's a biologist, but he works for the state of Montana and he works for private ranches, and he's heard that rumor too. He said, I don't know. It has some earmarks of something. But my question is to every biologist I've ever talked to about the chronic waste disease is this: if it's a natural deal, when the hell how did just that first deer get it? What made it pop up?
I mean, CWD in general, I think, with that older disease known as scrapie.
Just a spin-off of it, maybe?
It may be that it's thought that it's a variation of that,
A mutated?
A mutated version of it. So, yeah, that's, most of those diseases are very family specific. So, CWD just affects the deer family. BSE just affects bovines,
right.
Cows.
I was told by the other guy that I asked questions. This conversation him and I have been 6 months ago, so I can't remember everything. And he said they found it in South Korea.
They did.
He said it all up in Canada, chronic waste disease in South Korea. And did he not say England? Help me here. Was that?
I don't think it's been documented in England.
Red stag, maybe
Norway.
Norway. That's where it was.
Europe.
Yeah.
And it's funny you mentioned South Korea, or not funny, but interesting.
Yeah.
That's actually one of the success stories, if you will, for managing CWD, because it was in a contained pen. It was actually some elk that were transported. So South Korea became a CWD positive area, and they were able to actually depopulate that. So luckily it wasn't in a wild herd of anything. So,
but that's something. What we just got corona disease. Now we got, the CWD. What is next? We gonna have zombies?
I don't know. I'm ready for them if they come in.
Locusts? What is the murder hornets they was warning us about here a while back? Y'all remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
them big old boys. Right there.
What is going on? Is the good Lord mad at you, Billy?
Oh, he's mad at everybody. I believe.
Something going on. He done got rough. He said, I'm gonna send it all on y'all boys out in Henry County.
They should have already been here.
Yeah, that's right. This might go to you. You get calls regular. I think I've got a deer that's got the chronic waste disease. I'm sure the last few years that's been in everybody's vocabulary. Do you get calls about that, Steve, pretty regular?
I do, and I have over the last few years that we've been testing for it. Of course, they've been testing in Henry County, and I've sent off several deer myself that people have called and say, I've got a deer, it's acting crazy, or this one I just found dead or something, and I'll go pull the lymph nodes out and send them off. And so far, none of them have come back as detected, as positive, until this one here.
What happened here? Which one of y'all is familiar with what we found at we're at in the county?
I did, and we rely on like Steve said, we collect samples from deer in all the counties of Tennessee as part of the surveillance. We also rely heavily on targeted surveillance towards sick acting and just abnormal acting deer. So we encourage people to get in contact with us if they think they have a problem. But then the notification for this particular deer, it came from that system, the sick deer reporting system that we have. A lady, motorist was passing by and noticed a deer that was acting erratically. It looked poor, body condition, and just, it just wasn't right. She knew that something wasn't right. So she contacted us, and I kind of made arrangements to head this way to see if I could potentially, locate it and see, kind of assess the situation. I was on my way.
Are you on call for that? Is somebody on call for this, or is it kind of whenever we can get there?
Well, yeah, we get those notifications, and if it's where, if either myself or I can send one of my guys to that area. Long story short, the landowner was there with it. He had actually put the deer down. By the time I got there, I collected the sample. And
northern part of the county?
Northwest part of the county.
Per your area out here, can you say?
Yeah, I can give you the general
area
in between Cedar Grove.
Cottage
I
Grove.
always say that. Cottage Grove and Purrier, kind of.
That's where I live.
I think from the GPS location is kind of the Walker Cemetery area.
That's where I live.
Yeah, so.
Seriously.
Yeah.
That's where I live, right behind Walker Cemetery.
Yeah.
You know where I live.
Yeah.
Directly, I can throw a rock, hit Walker Cemetery.
So it's right up in that area.
So what's the citizens need to be looking for?
I would recommend, people that hunt in the area, definitely keep hunting. We're here to inform people about CWD and kind of the things you need to look for, the things you should do to manage it and deal with it. Definitely, if you're hunting and you see a sick appearing animal, if it's legal to shoot it, to harvest it, go ahead and do it. Have it tested. Other than that, just on your own property, not in a hunting situation. If you see a sick deer, deer that's not acting, it's a neurological disease.
Sure.
So how's it transmitted?
It's transmitted through, a lot of ways. It's transmitted through bodily fluids. So it's transmitted through saliva, through urine and feces, and all that.
Also, my birds can eat that deer. And take a crap in the middle of a field, and that grass grows up, that deer eats it, he can get it.
That's the other side of it. So the environment can also become a reservoir for that infectious particle, and that's really the main reason why we need to manage the spread and keep the prevalence rates as low as possible, because as the percentage of animals that are infected become more and more on the landscape, they're constantly shedding those prions. As they're developing the chronic wasting disease, and those prions are notorious for just persisting in the environment. It takes super high heat to kill it. It's not alive, so you're not really killing it.
No, it's a spore.
It's a
prion? It's like a spore.
It's very hard to deal with, when it gets in the environment. So,
what is the TWRA? Are they actively searching for a vaccine? Or are they allowing the federal government? Like I said again, I was told that there is some stuff on that they've worked on that may have a little bit of a foothold fighting this. But you can't, and when I say that, I don't mean everybody go out there and shoot a deer with a hypodermic needle. That's be impossible, but you can do it through feeding program.
Well, TWRA is...
They're just a small bucket into the whole...
We partner with different universities and folks that are really on the cutting edge of research. And there are a lot of research projects that deal with different facets of CWD, vaccines or treatments and things like that. The fact is, there's a human prion disease as well. It's called Crutchfield-Jacobs disease. And it's just like CWD, there's no cure, there's no treatment. So we feel like, of course, the human health side of things is going to be ahead as far as research and development of any kind of treatment. So, if there becomes a situation where there's a treatment or a vaccine for the human form of the prion diseases, then we feel like that might be something that could somewhat be, it'd be a very difficult thing to do, but be sort of scaled for wildlife.
We're not going to do what they did in Wisconsin. Tell me.
No, I mean we try.
You know what they did? They went out there. Let me confront you a little bit.
Right.
They went out there and they said in the southern part, maybe the southeastern part of Wisconsin, let's wipe the deer herd down. Let's clear them. Let's get the animals where there ain't as much contact. Well, you can't do that with herding animals anyway. But they went out there and they mowed the deer down. Some areas didn't do it. And they have found that killing the deer out was the wrong process because they found that there is some herd immunity going on with this disease. You know about that.
I do.
And they're saying that the part of Wisconsin where they went and shot all the deer out, they said it's going to be 250 years before they can get a herd immunity. And the areas that didn't go out there and shoot them out, because Mother Nature is the original mad scientist. You have to agree. Mother Nature is a mad scientist. They let the deer go in that area, and they found that 12 to 14% of the deer is starting to get herd immunity. And they say within 50 years, they'll probably be up around 30, 40%, which is good. Deer can survive with 30% of them being, immune to it. Then the other area where they shot them all out, they say they not only did they shoot healthy deer, they shot deer that did have the chronic waste, but they also shot deer that was breeding and carrying that gene on that was immune.
Right.
Tell me that's not what our job is going to be in Tennessee.
Well, that's one of the, we're the 26th state that's detected CWD. So
they've got a history on
in
how to fight it.
In a way, we could take, lessons learned from other states. Wisconsin was the first state east of the Mississippi River.
And they had a hard time with it.
Yeah, and they were very aggressive, and really what happened is they lost the trust of the hunters in the state. It was sort of taken out of the hunters' hands. We want to be clear. We want to manage CWD. We want to manage it by targeting positive animals on the landscape. Now that's not easy to do, but it's one of those things that's kind of like finding a needle in a haystack without burning the hay.
Once you see a deer with a symptom, it's already spread it.
Yeah, basically, and that's why our surveillance is so important. We have a statewide surveillance program where basically we have a number of deer that we need to test from every county, because that's the goal, is early detection.
What do we do when we find it early? We found this pretty early. How old was the deer y'all found to
It was
my house?
3.5 years old, so that's a
Was
little.
it a doe?
It was, yes, sir.
So that deer, 3.5 years old, hadn't had it for 3.5 years. The life expectancy is 18 months out here.
Well,
at the max.
Yeah, they can live with CWD up to 18 to 24 months.
Yeah.
So after that, they become clinical, and they usually go within a few months. But yeah, that deer was 3.5 years old, so it's been on the landscape for a little while. What we plan to do this year, we don't plan as of right now. It could potentially change in the future, but to change the hunting regulations right now, what we want to do for Henry County this year, this coming up deer season, is we want to get more samples collected so we have a better idea of what we're dealing with. Because right now,
that's not the only one, I'm sure.
It may not be. It may not be. It may be an early detection, or we may find, that it's spread more.
What percent of positives can our deer herd in Henry County? Well, the reason why I'm asking this question, Jeremy, and you too, is hunting is a big part of our tradition in Henry County. Turkey and deer and all that. And it also sets a lot of the value of land. If you got farming land, it's worth X amount of dollars, but the old scrub land that I own, I guess you could call it. No, it's good land. It has a value with hunting, and it's set off of turkey and set off of deer hunting. If we don't get a handle on this, the repercussions are going to be are going to be big because Henry County is known to be a good county to come deer hunting in, and we got a lot of people comes in here and spends money. I fix their car, they buy groceries, they rent motels. My opinion is what you're doing. Monitor it, let it go. Let's hope that we can get a small percent of herd immunity in this deal. That's the only hope we got. You can't shoot your way out of it. You can't kill your way out of it because you're just going to kill the deer that's going to die naturally.
Well, the thing about it is, hypothetically, if we could go in on a very small scale and take out the does that particular doe was running with, chances are that would significantly slow the progression of the disease in Henry County.
But there again, I'm not arguing. I'm just my point. I'm asking you questions. Sure. She's already fertilized the ground with that stuff. She's had her feces. She's had her urine. She's licking. She's and you'd have to just go out there and just tear the whole ground in my area. You'd have to go out there at my place. I mean, there's deer all over my farm out there. Right. I live, honestly, right directly behind where I heard the deer out there in my backyard, but I'd never seen one sick out there.
Right.
But I'm going to tell you a little secret, and this is a true story. About 4 years ago, we're looking at putting a pond on my place because of water runoff. And I think the Harrison guy from the OS office out there, there's a deer out there. We walked up on a buck, just spinning in the ground, flipping and flopping and spinning. I looked at him. I said, what in it? Back on my back. I said, what in the world? But the deer didn't look bad. He didn't look like he was starved there, but we're too far from a road. And I looked at that deer and watched it die. And I sat right there and I said, man, that spooked me out. I'd never seen that before. Could that have been that?
I mean, deer can have a lot of things going on with them.
I know that blue tongue, but it looked healthy.
Hemorrhagic disease, that's something that kind of cycles through the deer population in the state every year. Some areas are worse than others. That's something that's caused by a virus that's spread by an insect. Usually this time of the year, late summer, is when we start to see more and more reports of that. A lot of times the deer will go to water. Yeah. It affects them just like a virus affects us. Yeah. It increases body temperature. Are
y'all going to provide us with a place? I'm going to be the devil's advocate right here. I want to open back up check-in stations. You couldn't stay in a deer stand much after 8 o'clock back in the day because you want to go see what the other guys had done killed. You go out there at Tire Sports Center, which he knows what I'm talking about. Why don't we open it back up? Why don't we have them open in Henry County, let people bring their deer in, physically look at them and do some random samples, send them on. How long does it take to get a result back?
It takes right now from the time, it depends, from the time that you harvest the deer, on average it's about 2 weeks. Now that can stretch out when it gets busy, when...
that needs to cut down. We need to get some funding to make that like a corona test, where you immediately, y'all come on site in Henry County, and have a place to go in there right then. I'm sure it's spun around like they do corona, spin it, come out positive.
Because of right now there's not a field test, and because of the nature of dealing with prions and testing things for prions, there's only a certain number of laboratories in the nation that can do that type of test.
Well, we need some federal help in.
What we can do is make it as efficient as possible on our end on getting the samples sent off. So that's kind of what my job is. We don't necessarily we will have a couple Saturdays of check stations, but we're able to go in and partner with processors, taxidermists in the counties, and we'll have a network of freezer drop-offs where people can, if say you do your own processing at home and you want to have your deer tested, you can take it to a location and leave it in a chest freezer, leave it in a chest freezer, and then we come by.
How do we dispose of them? If I got a deer and you tested it, it had chronic waste disease, or why don't they put us up dumpsters? Carry them here, because if you put that deer in the ground and grass grows over it, can it not carry that disease up?
Yeah, but I mean, if honestly disposing of it on the site where you killed it, if it was there and it's positive, it's already there. That's disposing of it on your property is better than taking it somewhere else. And
I have to disagree, because you got those coyotes eating it, you got buzzards eating it, you got hawks eating it, and they fly off, maybe carry it 3 miles and drop it to where, in fact, it wasn't there, and you could carry it and dispose of it. I mean, Is that not? I'm sure that's thought. I'm not a biologist,
Yeah,
and I'm here to ask you questions about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways.
I'm
to spread.
passionate about it.
Sure, I understand.
Yeah.
The research suggests that the spread by scavengers is less than deer-to-deer contact. It may still play some kind of a factor, but
are we going to stop this feeding deer now? I haven't done it in 4 years, my buddy. Are we going? That's a good question for you. We recommend not to feed deer.
Correct.
We recommend not putting no salt blocks out.
Right.
And my buddy told me if you've got any natural salt blocks right now, cover them up.
Well, what we're telling folks, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but what has happened since we have gotten a CWD positive deer is to stop the supplemental feeding. Can't feed them.
Right.
If you've got an established salt lick, just don't add to it. And if you want to cover it, that's fine. But yeah, stop any kind of supplemental feeding. If you got corn out, feeders, whatever. We've always said you can feed them. You just can't hunt over it.
Right.
But yeah, since we've got a CWD positive, we're stopping all the supplemental feeding. We're stopping adding to the mineral licks and the salt
Against
licks.
the law as of when to feed deer.
Whenever.
as of right now,
Yeah, as of right now.
See, like me or not, I've stopped it 4 years ago because I was afraid what it could do. Because my buddy told me that's don't.
Well,
He said if you do it, make sure you got those kind that spreads it out back then. Don't let the kind where it's got an elephant trunk and they walk up there and eat out of it. He said make sure you spread it. But he said I recommend not to even do it.
anything that congregates animals
Right.
unnaturally. Deer are going to naturally
herd animals.
They're going to congregate somewhat around a hot white oak tree.
Yeah.
But nothing congregates deer like a 4-foot circle of mineral lick or a corn pile with their
So
shoulder
have
to
y'all
shoulder.
got the word out that you can't do feeders?
we're getting it out as best we can. Of course, they're again using social media
We'll
and
tell it right
posting.
here. Folks, y'all heard that.
Yeah.
Put them feeders up. Do it for us. Do it for our grandchildren, man. Put them up. I haven't fed in 4 years, and I'm not going to start tomorrow because I've been worried about this coming.
I have had several folks call me in the last week and a half, 10 days that have said that exactly. Well, we've pulled up our minerals, we pulled up this, we've done it, and that's exactly that's what we're asking you to do. That's what we're.
If I'm passionate about my deer hunting.
Right.
I spent a lot of money on deer hunting. Billy, you've seen I spent a lot of money. I spent my kids' inheritance. They're watching me now. That's where your money went, if you want to know. It's in the hunting lodge. But and now and I could control it. But now it's out of my control. There's nothing I can do. It's in my backyard at my house.
Right.
And it hasn't went to my hunting cabin in Henry that we know of. So I feel like there's nothing I can do. It's out. I can't control this. So I'm going to do what I can to prevent it. I've already pulled up feeders. We have not fed on my place. We stopped it because of that. I know it wasn't here, but I figured it was. We just hadn't found it. This deer, she's had it for a year. She's had it 18 months. It was here last year. It's probably here 3 or 4 years ago. Some of them, they never get to the road where people can see them. They just die in the woods. It's here. Let's do our part, hunters. I'm telling everybody, let's do what they want to. But I want y'all guys to tell me we're not going to mass shoot our deer.
No, we're not. Certainly not on a large scale.
Good. Target them.
Targeted is the approach really to go, because that's closer to where the actual location is. If you take additional deer there, then you're really, the potential is there to affect the transmission from deer to
deer.
Do
I need to pull game cameras at my house since I live less than 660 foot from the cemetery and see what I got on my camera?
Well, that's just the thing. You can't really tell. Yeah, sometimes like this deer was fairly skinny. It looked poor, but the reality is 95% of the deer that we test that end up testing positive are otherwise healthy deer.
Well, y'all stay, won't you? I got to take a break so I can get Billy a paycheck.
Yeah.
Folks, we got
look cheap.
Yeah, Billy just looks cheap. We've got the game warden, Steve Brewer, and we've got the biologist, Jeremy Dennison, and we're talking about something that means a lot to me, which is the chronic waste disease that has affected our deer. And believe it or not, it's in my backyard. So, yeah, I've got a lot to say about it. And we're going to pay the bills, and don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
This presentation of the Mike Weatherford Show is being brought to you by Paris Power Sports, a bad boy and skag mower dealer and service center that is the area's leading power sports company since 2016. Mow with an attitude and power on.
Napa Auto and Truck Parts. With over 95 years of experience, you can trust the Napa know-how.
Take Me Back Cafe. Delicious home-cooked family-style meals in a nostalgic, warm, and inviting atmosphere. Take Me Back Cafe. Great for the entire family.
And the attorneys at Hawley & McAdams, who with over 90 years of combined experience, pride themselves in competent, thorough representation, utilizing their vast experience in a broad array of practice areas. Voted favorite law firm in the 14th Annual Reader's Choice Award, Hawley & McAdams are proud and honored to serve you.
Welcome back to the Mike Weatherford Show. We have got Henry County Game Warden Steve Brewer and a chronic waste disease biologist Jeremy Dennison. And we have really been learning a lot about this disease that I said I'm passionate. I'm a deer hunter. I love to deer hunt. It's the only thing I take off work to do is hunt. I'm a workaholic and a deer hunter. And this deer was found in my backyard. So, I'm passionate about it. And I'm probably going to be a little hard on these guys, even though I love them like brothers. But, I got to tell you what I think. You said you want to circle back. Go right back what you was at, brother.
Yeah, so you mentioned the herd immunity question, and that's something that we do get a lot. And really what it is some deer research suggests that they seem to develop a genetic resistance to CWD. That's different than an immunity. So
maybe I didn't use the right term.
Well, I just wanted to clear, basically.
But it's called herd immunity is the proper term when a herd can find a way to fight a disease.
So what happens with the genetic?
Well, out there around Walker Cemetery, that's what we say.
What happens with the ones that are resistant to CWD? They end up still succumbing to the disease. It's still fatal. What it does is they survive with it longer.
Right.
So it takes it takes longer for them to die.
Well,
and in reality, that's actually in some ways a bad thing because
they can spread it more. Yeah.
Yeah, they're constantly when they're infected, they're constantly shedding. So if they
found that 21% of deer in the area that didn't have a mass shoot off wasn't carrying it, and they was giving it to their children. And they said in 50 years, if you don't kill the deer off, in 50 years they can see where that 21% of the herd to 31% will be immune to this.
I think 50 years is a little quick when you're talking about something like a genetic thing.
But it got here in 50 years. It come from 1969 and approximately 69 in Colorado, moved its way to Paris, Tennessee, since 1969. So 50 years is that's no time. I'm older now. Hell, I'm 60. Hell, that's 50 years is nothing.
In natural selection time,
it is.
That's a
I agree. But 250 years is what they're projecting where they shot the deer out. I agree with target shooting. Get some guys in there, like I say, they ought to do on these wild hogs that's not even native around here. Why don't y'all write tickets? People bringing shit they ain't supposed to be here, especially them damn anacondas, them copper-headed anacondas and copper-headed rattle-moccasins that ain't supposed to be here. Run them out of here. I don't like snakes. Okay, you Billy?
Oh yeah.
You like them? I don't like
king
snakes. I don't like none of them. Snakes make me hurt myself.
Snakes, they the ones dirty words. They help you out right there. They get rid of them.
They make me say dirty words and they make me hurt myself. If I burn
soft.
in hell, it might. I am soft. Well, it might make me go to hell because I might say a dirty word and have a heart attack, and I didn't get forgiven for it, and there I did. Because snakes do scare me. But see, I had a mother. My mother's got a lot of Indian in her, and my dad's people was from Big Sandy, and there's rattlesnakes over there. And when I was a kid, my mom would always holler, "Get out of them bush, there'll be a snake in there." And you hear that since time you're old enough to understand.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And time you get older, so now everywhere I look, I'm looking at a snake. I'd rather fight a bobcat in a phone booth with a pocket knife is mess with a snake.
Yeah.
We've had some people ask some questions here. I got a lot to go on. And
all right.
How many positives to dates?
For Tennessee?
Henry County.
Oh, Henry County, that's the first one we've ever detected. We've tested since 2001. Last year, I believe we tested 82 deer just through our normal methods.
Right.
We've tested 39,000 deer in the state since 2018.
And what's our positive rate?
It depends on the county. So
Average.
Fayette and Hardeman County is the hardest hit counties. Those are 13 and 9%.
How much of their deer herd have they lost?
It's hard to say. I don't think we're seeing a population level decline yet. What can really happen first with CWD, since it kills them, it's 100% fatal within 2 to 3 years, your deer herd will get younger and younger because the animals are not making it. Because most people, when you want to shoot a mature deer for a trophy deer, that's going to be a 3.5, a 4.5, 5.5 year old animal.
So we're going to be hunting 18-month-old if it keeps the way it's going.
That's one of the things about keeping the prevalence rates down, is because that can happen. If a fawn is either infected before it's born or shortly thereafter, as mom, first thing she does is lick it clean.
Sure.
If she's positive, she very well is going to spread it to the fawn.
Sure they are, because it's going to suckle off of her.
And if that's the case, that deer, if it is infected at that point, it may not make it to the 3.5.
So you don't believe in my theory, and that I've read and talked to other biologists about, they'll get immune if we leave them alone?
Not necessarily. I think I just think
I want you to be wrong.
Well, I want to be wrong too.
Yeah,
I want to wake up
right.
I do. But not for the reasons you think, because I'm passionate about it. And everything I've challenged you on is because I'm passionate.
Sure.
And can you tell I've done a little bit of research?
I can. And I think that's one factor. The resistance, and really my job and our job as an agency is to try to manage it while these things catch up, while vaccine or while treatment.
I've got access to a lot of land. I own a lot of land, and I've accessed a lot of land. And the deer out there that you found, I'm telling you, is on my farm. If you need anything in my area, any research, anything you want to do, all you got to do, he's got my number, call me. I got a hunting farm. If you need to come out there, call me. I will do whatever's in my power to give you the tools to do your job.
I'd ask you, just like everybody else that hunts in Henry County, kill your limit this year and supply us with a sample so that we have a better understanding.
Sometimes I don't even kill deer. I hunt horns.
Yeah.
But, I may.
Well, kill a few.
I do. Is there any drop-off points?
There is. We're working on that since we just discovered this.
Keep bringing the questions in, people. I'm getting them slowly, but I'm getting them.
Right here before bow season, we usually try to have, and we do at this point in the other counties that we deal with, we have all that in place, and we've really been working overtime this week and last week, making those contacts. But yeah, we'll have four freezer drop-offs in the county. And then we'll be working with processors and taxidermists as well. We want to make it as convenient as possible.
We got to.
For people.
People's lazy. They won't walk across the street to get their. I'll say it. I know it. They won't walk across the street and get their damn mail. I mean, come on now.
And when we talk about drop-off points, we're talking about the head,
right?
Not the whole deer.
Yeah, don't drop the whole deer.
We went down that road.
The head and part of the neck.
I'm going to push, because I know I got some other questions too, but I'm going to let Billy. He's got some questions, but I'm going to push in all my contacts. I know a lot of people. And I'm not going to take you sitting down with this chronic waste disease in my backyard. I'm going to do what I can, which is a little bit, not much. I'm not claiming to be somebody. But there's got to be a way with all the private studies, not just universities. There's private studies. I'm familiar with this guy that does private studies that needs to get out, what they're doing. We need to all work together, because there's nothing like sitting up in a deer stand watching the sun come up. I got 10 grandchildren. With one of them sitting there beside me, hollering, "Papa, look at that deer. Shoot it, Papa."
Absolutely.
There's nothing in the world like that. And I don't want to lose that, because I had it growing up with my father and my uncles. I grew up with that. And I want my grandchildren, and one day my great-grandchildren. That's what I'm building, a legacy. And I'm passionate. Folks, y'all probably never seen me as passionate about anything. Go ahead, Billy, before I get mad.
I just wondered about any type of supplements or food plots or anything might help this out, and the reason I'm asking about that is because I found some folks over in Oklahoma, and they're from the university over there, and they're doing a little bit of experimenting here and there, and so I just kind of wondering if there's anything that.
There's nothing that we know of right now. There's, like I said, there's been studies on different chemicals and things and the problem is, finding something that can do something in the laboratory setting and then translating that to
it's
the
hard.
environment. And that's.
I hope we're not getting, Billy, buddy, I'm going to let you go back, but I'm looking at you, Billy. I hope we don't have the same problem we've had with the corona. I think these guys are on top of it, not to
Well,
misinformation.
that actually come out of a laboratory.
Well, I'm not so sure this didn't. But what I'm trying to say is these guys are working hard on it. They're not hiding anything like the government has on this corona disease. You know, I'm gonna be honest with y'all guys. I feel after meeting and talking with y'all guys, y'all passionate too. And I really trust y'all guys to do what's right. I really do.
It's like when we first come in, we both deer hunt.
Yeah.
I've got 2 kids, and
I got 2 boys. I've raised 2 deer hunters.
and I want them. My boy started hunting with me when he was 4.
That's right.
He was 4 years old. He killed his first deer at 7.
Well, that's why I'm glad y'all did come in here, and I think the listening audience, there's a lot of people looking at y'all. They understand what I understand. I feel better knowing that y'all guys are fighting this disease as a hunter instead of trying to gain some national attention over this shit. I mean, we got enough of that with this corona. Do you even know what to believe about the corona? I don't. I don't know what the hell's going on with that thing. But y'all guys are really passionate, like I am, about this disease.
And it's not just us.
No,
it's all the
when I
the
say
employees.
us, I
Yes,
mean
understand.
TWRA.
Right.
Y'all
Exactly.
catch enough hell,
Right.
and I don't agree with everything y'all do. I think there's too many insurance companies lobbying the commissioners about deer seasons. I've always said that. You don't have to say a word. I feel it, and you can't make me think otherwise. 3 doe a day? Come on. I mean, who in the hell wants 3 does a day? There's a reason behind that, and I'm telling you, Mike Weatherford is saying that's done because they don't want crop insurance damage, car damage. That's a lot of that. You can say what you want to say, but that's what. Go ahead, Billy. I'm sorry. I got
that's part of it right there, I believe, you know, with something like that. But, you know, we do need to be doing some harvesting because, I mean, our deer population is just crazy, isn't it?
That's right.
Didn't we stop counting it one?
No, it's not. I disagree. Our deer herd in most of the county is down. Go ahead.
But I mean, in general, and it seems in areas, especially in areas where we've found a lot of chronic wasting disease, it coincides with areas that have super high deer density. You know, population density is really high. Everybody likes to see deer. I mean, like I said, I've got 2 boys. I've raised 2 deer hunters. You know, especially with kids. You want, when you go hunting, you know, you only have, especially little kids, you only have that window, so you want them to see deer.
Oh, God, yes.
Everybody loves to go hunting and see deer.
Are y'all going to stop the deer, these farmers from getting permits? I've been on Steve here. I'm overrunning turkey. I hate to believe it. I'm overrun. Have you seen them?
Yeah,
I'm overrunning them damn things. I hate them. I can't. It costs me too much money every year. Are y'all going to stop these farmers getting a permit and killing 100 deer now? Are you going to give them more permits?
Well, I mean, one of the tools we have is managing the harvest as far as managing disease, because we talk about a disease that's dependent on the density and dependent on the amount of interaction. So, I mean, the other counties, as far as the hunting regulations, has become a little more liberal. You want to give people the opportunity to shoot more. So I wouldn't anticipate there being less deer.
Why don't we apply that to these cattle farmers? Let me go out to one of my cattle farmer buddies and walk around his cattle farm and say, you know what? You need to shoot some of your cows. That'll help your herd. I bet he runs me off.
He might do.
Yeah, I know he would.
Well,
I'm going to go way out on a limb, and I'll probably get in trouble. But not from you. But you mentioned something a while ago about car insurance and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then you ask if we're going to stop the permits from the farmers. We don't swing as big a stick.
Got you.
Got me?
I understand.
Okay.
I understand. Y'all don't get to toot the horn. Y'all don't get to drive the train, but let it jump.
Not just me. I'm talking about the agency.
I understand.
You know,
I understand.
And we've talked about this before. Yes, we do have some farmers that go out there and they're going to put a hurting on them.
That's right.
But and I've done
before
this
we could rebound, but I'm worried now.
Yes, exactly. But on average, on our permits, and we collect them, we send them in to Jeremy here. On average, it's probably 10 or less that the farmer actually takes.
What? That's another. I warned y'all about rabbit holes. Mm-hmm. We're in another one.
All right.
Where in the hell do you get the number to go to a farmer to kill? I got 1,000 acres. How many deer would you let me kill on it?
I mean, typically when I write a permit,
how do you get the number? You don't just grab it out of the air. You what?
He's wanting the formula.
The formula that tells you how many deer I can kill on my place.
I've usually not set a number. Okay, when I write the permit,
What do you tell them?
they can. I just tell them, and I ask them to shoot does, to target female, because that's what's percentage of our problem. I sat on a porch one night and watched 92 deer in a bean field.
That's every one of them in within 10-mile area, but go ahead.
No, I watched 92 of them. There was 92 deer in a bean field. 80 of them were does that I could tell. 12 of them were bucks. Okay, out of that I could tell. So I mean, what's that ratio? That's a 10-to-1 ratio.
Oh, it's better than
that. Which is way out of whack.
But go ahead.
But and like the does are the ones that tend to cause the problems, because there's going to be more of them around here.
Women always cause trouble. That's what you're saying, right?
Well,
that's kind of what he said, Billy. Go ahead.
But I don't typically limit them to a number, knowing that
you just tell them shoot what they think they need to be took care of.
And of course, here's the thing, and I've had farmers tell me this. They say it's July. What's the last thing they want to be doing is out in a bean field trying to shoot a deer. They just, and so. And then most of them will come back and say, I went and I shot 3, and now when I pull in there, they run off. That's what I want to happen.
Yeah.
I'm not saying every farmer does that. We do have some that will go out there and they put hurting on them.
I've seen it.
And I have two. Typically, like I said, that's not the case.
Right.
So I don't limit them most of the time. It's usually when I write the permit, it's, you got some common sense. And this year has been absolutely, I've been doing this 28 years. This year has been crazy in the fact that I've wrote less permits this year than ever.
Because the deer herd's down.
No. Well,
go ahead.
No.
I like a good debate like this.
Because the farmer don't want to shoot the shells he's got because he can't find any shot.
Well, that might be true too, but deer herd areas is down. I've hunted Cottage Grove since on the original farm that deer was turned loose on.
Right.
I hunt that farm to this day. Still got it. Well, they turned deer loose in the 60s and up to 73, I believe, on this farm. And I've seen it go from sitting in my deer stand, seeing 50 and 60 deer in the afternoon, to where I see 3 or 4.
But has the landscape changed?
No.
It has not.
Well, yeah, it has, but not enough to commit.
Because you go to Mansfield area.
They're moving out, I understand,
Right.
but there's pockets. There are pockets of deer.
I agree with you.
But Cottage Grove is where the deer was turned loose predominantly out there, especially on Bill Lamb Lane.
Yep, I know exactly where
that's where I got that farm there too, right across from the church, where I've seen y'all set up those TikTok or Timex and the laying down deer, which I looked at through a gun scope because I couldn't find binoculars, and I said, I think that's that deer. And y'all turned around and looked at me, had my gun up. I said, I think this might be illegal. I put the gun down and left. I want to see it up close because y'all put it on my farm before.
We did.
Yeah. But with that being said, the deer herd is down, and I think that people like myself that live in the woods during the season can tell you that. But there again, I can carry the spots where I'm seeing deer I've never seen before.
Exactly.
So, but the overall numbers is down, and I'm worried. I think we're going, it's like this corona disease. You already smoked too many cigarettes, you drank too much whiskey, you got high blood pressure, you're overweight, and you get the corona. It ain't looking good, honey. Same thing with deer.
I got to disagree with that. What is the deer population? You think it's up?
I don't know that I would say it was up. Steve have a better idea of the population in Henry County. I don't really foresee the deer population being down as a whole anywhere because
I don't come out there to Prairie Crossing Road. I'll show you. I don't know what Mike's talking about. I guess he's just unlucky. They out there thick.
I've hit
Billy,
13
let me tell you
deer.
something. When you see them deer herded up, this is from not being a biologist, but for 50 years of hunting them. You've probably seen every deer within a 5 or 6 mile radius of you. When you're seeing 90 to 100 deer at a time, there's no way that landscape can hold 90 deer in this field. You walk down the road a quarter mile, another 90 deer. There's not enough nutrition for that. It's not going to happen. Number one, there's not going to be enough nutrition for them deer to breed. They're going to come back, not even come in season that year. He knows what I'm talking about. They're not going to come into season because they don't have enough nutrition. Now, I've seen as much as 146 deer at one time in a fence row on Bob Smith's place down there in Jones's Mill area. Lined up. My buddy that was seen them with me can back me up on that. We sat there and counted them in a pickup truck, went down a fence row. But we didn't see no more deer, maybe one deer here and one deer there for the whole area in that area. Why? Because it was after rut. which the January rut, we still have a January rut. That's why I tell people you got a year and a half old deer that's got a 4 point, and you got one that's an 8 point. Well, that deer was born maybe in June. Well, his mama got bred maybe in November. Well, the January season, the mom gets bred. She's going to have the baby. It's going to be later. It's going to have a hard time catching up. It takes a couple years to average out. You know what I'm trying to say.
Right, and that's one of the things about, numbers getting crazy. Like when you see in 90,
I can't,
deer,
guys. They're telling me to hush in my ear. Let them guys talk. No, I'm passionate, guys.
Yeah, that's one thing that you see a lot of variation in when fawns are born in areas where there's a whole lot of deer. When you have 100 in a, that's when you get fawns that are born later and later and later because they're bred later and
That's
later.
right, January.
And that can affect their survivability and
Right.
things. If you ever see a fawn, like I saw one a couple of years ago, it was October. I was going to check my deer stand, and there was basically a newborn fawn laying on the ground. That deer was bred late. Yes,
In
sir.
October.
Go out there right now, right there in front of on 69, going out toward the airport. You know where the substation is there at Rising Street? There's a baby laying there with spots that big around. Mm-hmm. And this is September. That's not unusual, but it's late.
Mm-hmm. I had 2 cross the road in front of me today, and both of them were still spotted.
What was you gonna say a while ago?
As far as talking about
Well, I brought up Prairie Crossing Road. And
oh,
you
okay.
started
No,
to
I was
say
just,
something.
I tend to look at the harvest in the county, and I can't sit here right now and tell you the number that we killed in Henry County for the last 5 years, but it has been pretty consistent. And that's what I tend to look at when I say on the deer population is if it's dropping, if it's rising, if it's stable, it's whatever I tend to look at the harvest and go, all right, for the last 10 years, we've maintained this number right here. So that's a pretty good indication to me that the population is stable. Okay, I do agree with you on it's pockets. Yeah, Cottage Grove, that area. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. You go to Mansfield. You're that's where I sat and watched the 92 deer. It was in Mansfield. You go to Buchanan, it's going.
Henry starting to get a few deer.
It is. So that's what I tend to look at is the
How
harvest.
much of the harvest records are honest? Because we don't have check-in stations. And
Well, we actually do have check-in stations. We
Yeah,
have
but-
a few,
but
but it's not like the old times when we went to the tower, tackle box, and stuff.
People
like that.
doing it online, and I think if they get home, they're not checking them in. And I don't think they really. I think they know that.
Here's my on that. I think we're probably gonna get more. A better reading because they can do it that way. Because that guy that kills it at his house, and he can go on his phone and he checks it in. Where if he had to go to the check-in station, he'd go, well, I'm right here at the back door of my house, and I don't feel like loading this deer up and taking it somewhere.
Well, that's true. I think that's probably a double-edged sword.
It is.
But I do believe from experience and talking to other hunters that I got home with, I didn't check it in.
Yeah.
And that bothers me because I know there's a sponge factor that y'all use.
You're going to have that.
Y'all use it. Y'all know there's probably 15% that ain't checked in.
The best
kill.
thing, in my opinion, that we have done is went back to the tag before you drag.
Yeah, I like
there
that.
for years you didn't have to tag them, and whereas there's a guy going down the road and there's a deer laying on his trailer. Well, I don't know if he's checked in it or not, but if he's got a tag on it, then I can go. I'm going to stop him and say, have you checked it in? And so,
Is it safe to eat a deer that's had chronic waste disease? That's been a question that I'm running out of time. They're in my ear telling me to shut up and let y'all talk.
Yeah, and that's the thing that we don't want to scare people away from deer hunting and eating deer. We encourage people to get their deer tested. That's the
If it's
the
positive.
overall recommendation of the agency is if you live in an area that's known to have CWD, get your deer tested. And if it's positive, we recommend that you don't eat it.
and that's coming from CDC.
That's coming from the CDC.
Oh my God, we can't trust them.
You said the bad word.
I'm sorry. I know. Look,
Do you trust them?
They're
Okay.
erring on the side of safety.
I
I
But
understand that.
CWRA is not human health experts,
Understood.
so we
I
defer
got
to
you.
that.
I just being funny.
Sure, yeah. Me personally, I would not eat a positive deer.
Well, the bad part is if we don't, you're saying there's going to be places to hang a deer and wait till the test comes back.
No.
So that's the bad part. If you carry your deer out there and you get it tested and you go ahead and pay your processor and you get the deer back and you just paid $100 something and they say that deer's positive, you got to throw your meat away.
What we have starting this year is actually a voucher program where if we send you a notification saying that your deer tested positive, we're also going to send you a voucher that's worth $75 worth of processing fees. So to cover
That's
the basic
good.
cut of your next deer.
That's good.
That's one thing, that's concerning people getting burned on that for that cost. So.
But I think we need to get state of Tennessee, because it's going to be in all 95 counties before it's over.
I certainly hope not. It causes a lot of work in the counties it's in.
It will be. You know what's coming. I know it's going to work its way. I mean, we need to get some. Tennessee needs to step up, get some money spent to get us some laboratories where y'all guys can get it instantly done within a day or two. Turnaround time don't need to be 2 weeks.
Well, one good thing this year, actually started last year, was we do have an in-state lab where we used to have to send our samples out of state. We are using a lab in Tennessee for the majority of our testing, so that does help some.
Go ahead with some questions there, Ben.
Well, I just kind of wondered, I brought up mountain lions, and I got another question about that. So, what about that?
I have a story about that.
All right.
Okay. 1987.
Whoa.
Okay. I sat in a deer stand in Puryear, Tennessee, and I was
Close
sitting there.
to Golden Springs bottom?
No.
Okay.
It was, but it's part of the Forked Deer Oldbine River bottoms. Okay. And I was sitting in a deer stand, and I noticed something that come out in a field to my left at about 50 yards, and I looked. I was bow hunting, and it was a mountain lion. I know what it was, and I watched this animal for 55 minutes. Never lost sight of it for 55 minutes. At closest, at probably 40 yards. The furthest, at probably 70 yards. And it was hunting in a fence row. Okay. And finally, after 55 minutes, it went through the fence row, and I didn't see it anymore. Of course, now I hightailed it back to the truck when I come out of the deer stand. That being said, a lot of those things that we see like that in the past have been turned loose. They've escaped. We've had some African cats that have been brought in and that escaped and got loose. I know Eddie Forrest shot an African cat in his backyard.
Zinca, wasn't it? Or something like a Zinca?
I can't. It wasn't a Caracol. I can't remember which one it was, but anyway. So I watched
Eddie Forrest,
a mountain lion. Okay, in recent times we have had actually game camera evidence of seeing some pass through. We actually had one that was shot in Carroll County with a bow and arrow. It wasn't recovered. It wasn't killed, but the arrow was sent off with the blood, and it actually came back as female. The majority of probably what we have been seeing are male juveniles. I mean, what did you do when you were 16 years old?
You chasing women.
Okay.
Billy's still
chasing women. They had a documented cougar that they had radio collared that did an 1,800-mile circle. Okay, traveled 1,800 miles. Yes.
Yeah.
So, male juvenile. And so, yes, they have been documented in Tennessee with game cameras and through a blood.
My dad said they'd been here. He's dead and gone. Big Sandy used to have panthers. You heard of the panthers?
The Black Panthers.
Black Panther.
And now I'm going to balk on that
Well,
one.
my daddy said they had them. He said that one day he was up on Mount Carmel. He had been to his family and brought some chickens back. Dead chickens, don't care for supper.
Yeah.
And they got to squall him like a woman. He had to throw them to him and run. I wish he's here to tell you that story.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you a little quick story. I hate to butt in. Speaking of that, I've seen one. I've seen two in my life. One out there right down from where Chuck Stevenson. I got a farm on Midway Road right there by Bill Lamb Lane on a bar. That field right there, I seen one. True. So I sat there and watched it. I had a picture up, but on a small flip phone. And the bottom on 69 Highway before it used to be Ellis Popcorn before you go across like to the line.
I wasn't far from there where I seen
That's right. It was the Oldbine bottom. You know where the Buffalo crossing is? Right there is where I seen that. And it was over a blowed down tree. I went up in that tree and hunted. And I kept seeing deer on down that field. So I come out of that tree and eased my way down that river. And then I hunted till right at close to dark. So I got to get out of here before dark because there's a long way up through there. So I started coming back and I seen something in that tree that I just come out of. And it come out of there, run on the ground and jumped off and went across the field.
Yeah.
Now, what did I say? I don't know. Wasn't you, was it, Billy?
I don't know.
We know there ain't no Bigfoot. He didn't say there.
I got some footage and stuff I'd like. Well, it ain't really Bigfoot, but it's that nest. I don't know what to think about it. We'll need
That
to
was
go.
Kevin, the
We
producer.
need to go out to Oregon.
Yeah.
There's some stuff out there at Oregon that something else.
But recap on what we done. I know they're counting me down. they're telling me I gotta end it. Y'all can't hear it, but I can hear it. Recap: we got it in Henry County, and it was found in my backyard. We agree that there's a serious problem fixing to come upon us. We know that's happening. It ain't the only one out there. I'm gonna be really watching now. But I got another question I want to ask y'all. Y'all may not can answer this, but I wouldn't have a show if I didn't ask questions.
Homie.
What in the hell happened with the last commissioners that just left there with a duck blind drawing?
Oh Lord, there we go.
What? Come on now.
It's gonna be another episode right here.
I know they're not there. The ones that made that new deal, they said this is what we're going to do, and they walked out and left y'all with it. Well, not you, but they left a damn mess.
Right. Well, because there was an error in the draw this year.
It was an error all the way around. What they
Right.
was trying to fix was people making money and spending money on deer.
Right. That's the whole
You
thing.
can't stop that. Money rules the world.
You're right.
That's
And they
Big
just made
Sandy
them.
Lotto right there. I don't know what that's Big Sandy Lotto
That's right.
right
We
there.
at one time it was the only Tennessee lottery that we
That's
had.
right.
You know.
Why don't they just leave it alone? Because what they did now was, in that genre of TWRA, they lost a lot of respect from duck hunters.
Right.
I've had more people, when I put this out here, that I was going, y'all have lit me up. You better ask them about the duck blind. He's over there smiling. He's a
I
biologist.
thought CWD was going to be the most controversial topic tonight.
The duck blind drawing is very controversial.
It's very controversial.
It is, and and I see where they're trying to go is to stop the buying and selling. It's on public property. I mean,
You
got
can't
guys,
stop it.
You can't. You can't.
So,
And you
and I understand, Steve. I don't want to butt in on you, but I want to let you off the hook. I understand what they was trying to do.
Right.
But the cure was worse than the ailment. They have lost a lot of respect from people. I don't duck hunt, but I respect duck hunters, and I want them to have the best possible tools to duck hunt with.
Right.
I'm one of them kind of guys. Just because I don't like it don't mean I don't want it. I want them duck hunters to go duck hunt.
Yeah,
And I want
People
them.
all the way from Nashville have been fussing about
But
this.
why don't they just void that damn thing and say, all right, guys, we made a mistake. They know the matrix of that thing was screwed up. Well, here's what it done. If you and I was on the same ticket, we put down, we wanted to do duck blind number 1 is my first choice, and duck blind number 2. If I got draw for that hunt, or you did, and we got that drawing, and ours was already picked, they just throw this out. Why don't they just do away, say we made a mistake, because the commissioners that done that's out. They're gone. Why don't they, the new commissioners, all right, guys, we're going to start this again.
If we had somebody that was sitting here, if you notice my badge is silver, but we have some guys that wear gold badges,
Yeah.
I would defer that answer to the gold badge. But we have a new commissioner here in Henry County, and you may need to bring him on the show and ask about
What's his name?
Bonnie Ballou.
That's what I thought it was.
So,
But, that needs to be addressed because they're losing face. And they're paying people to keep the duck blinds up because they sold them or win them for a week, 7 days,
Right.
6 days.
Yes.
And everybody used to do it themselves. They go down there and they spend their own money fixing blinds. But now they pay, I heard $30,000 fixing some of these blinds.
that's for some of the blinds.
Have
Yes,
we
they're
lost
being
our
built.
damn mind? Understood.
Okay. Hey, I still got 2 years to work for this agency.
I understand,
I'd like to do
brother.
it.
Hey, you've not said anything. You've not said anything wrong.
I know.
But,
So
Billy,
Yes, sir.
finish us up, brother.
Oh, well, about
Got
that
some
time.
questions. Get some questions out there, too. We got a few minutes because my that still. Can you see up front? That still say Mike in the front. Yeah, we still got time, Billy.
Oh, do we?
I didn't know since last week if they done took that sign down or not.
Well, I didn't know that either.
But I was just wondering if y'all guys enjoyed it.
I have. I think it's important to get our message out there.
I got it out there because
I know Jeremy talked about it when the commission meets this week, and after kind of what they decide on the CWD situation here in Henry County. We're planning on having a couple of public meetings. We hadn't got those set up yet, but
I've got come back on here.
Well, we actually do have a date in October, October 28th. Sorry about
Where
that.
I didn't know that.
It'll be at the Henry County Fairgrounds.
Okay.
That's
I may
gonna-
come out there and do a Mike Weatherford live.
It's going to be a joint meeting between Henry and Weakley County.
That's okay.
Because I guess I'm sure you guys know, but it was found within 10 miles of Weakley, so that involves Weakley as a high risk.
It is.
And I've had a couple of questions. Well, why is Benton and Carroll not in it? And that's the reason, because we're going from a pinpoint location, and then what that 10 miles encompasses.
Well, y'all guys promise me you'll come back and keep these people updated, because deer season's right around the corner.
28th at the Henry County Fairgrounds.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to say that again. Say it again. Put the camera right on this guy. Let him tune in there. Yeah, there you go. And tell us when that is. I want everybody there. I want them to raise hell.
It'll be announced, but it'll be October 28th at the Henry County Fairgrounds. It's going to be a joint meeting, be a CWD 101 and kind of an update on Henry and Weakley counties. And I invite everybody to come out.
That's what I want you to do. Yeah. But I do want you to, I know you're be busy, but I do want to open the door to you and Officer Brewer to please come back and keep us updated. I mean, you know how we do this. It's a pretty good setup, ain't it? We got a good setup here.
October the 28th.
That's right. And
Mike, you going to be wearing your Halloween costume? Oh, what are you talking about? You're wearing it now.
Yeah, I got it on now. I keep ready. But I do want y'all to come in. Anything that you want to update the people on, because we've got a lot of people watching this. There'll probably be 30,000 people watching before this is over. Time it runs through the course, different areas, we're going to post it, and that's a lot. Mm-hmm. And if y'all did a good job, I mean, you really have. You've answered a lot of questions, and you took a little ridicule from old Mike, and I've jerked on your chain. And
answered a lot of questions.
Yeah, they have. Oh. And I talked a lot. But, you know, guys, I'm passionate. I absolutely know a little bit of nothing. But I did do my homework on this for years. And you have to admit, I did know a little bit of what was going on. Music in my ears. All right, folks, they're running me off because he said I'm over my allotted time. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the Mike Weatherford Show. We had, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to change it up. We had a CWD biologist, Jeremy Dennison, and we had the Henry County game warden, that I call him, Steve Brewer, come on, and they really give us a lot of information. And they said they're going to come back. You heard about the date that we're going to have that meeting at the fairgrounds. Show up. When I said give them hell, that was just joking. Listen to what they're doing. Let's all work together and let's preserve what we love. Next week, we got the First Lady of the Outdoors, Miss Brenda Valentine. She's coming in the house. She'll be here. Next Tuesday, 7 p.m. live. That's going to be an exciting story. I bet you she knows a little bit about this chronic waste disease. She's been hunting all over the world.
Yeah,
so,
queen of hunting.
Queen of hunting. I appreciate y'all guys. I hope you felt welcome. And I hope you got your word out. And I didn't treat you too bad. I fed you pizza. I mean, what the hell else could you want?
Yeah.
I appreciate
Thank you, 54 Mart.
Yeah, 54 Mart, that's right. Hey, guys. I appreciate you, man. It means a lot. Y'all take your time and come in and talk with somebody like me. All right, tune in next week. Tell them bye, Billy.
All right, come on back next week. We're going to have Brenda Valentine.
Lead us in closing prayer.
Yeah, amen.
That's right. See y'all, guys. Check in next week.
This portion of the Mike Weatherford Show is brought to you in part by L.I. Smith & Associates, a full-service engineering and surveying company that combines 40 years of industry expertise with new cutting-edge technology to provide innovative solutions to real-world problems. Headquartered in Paris, the professionals at L.I. Smith & Associates are dedicated to providing high-quality surveying and civil engineering services throughout Henry County and the surrounding region. L.I. Smith & Associates, industry expertise, innovative solutions, and community-focused. 54 Fuel Mart, a great place to eat with friendly staff and some of the best gas prices in town. Stop in for a bite to eat or get treated like family. That's 54 Fuel Mart, 1213A West Wood Street in Paris.